If you're someone who struggles a lot with sleep, you have probably been told just to go to bed at the same time every night, right? Or just go to bed early, get an early night, and to just stop staying up so late. But what if I told you that this could be the exact reason why your sleep is so disrupted? And that there is an easy way to kind of train your body to get to sleep naturally, and it doesn't involve any weird hacks, supplements, or complicated bedtime routines. Hi, I'm Anne, the sleep nerd, and as a sleep coach, my mission is really to help you navigate through all of this confusing advice that you get online and to really help you build a healthy, sustainable routine that actually works for you. And I see so many people struggling with their sleep in different ways. But at the same time, there is so much information out there, right? So many products, so many supplements that are meant to make our sleep better. So the problem is not really that we don't have enough information on how to sleep well. It's actually the opposite. There is so much advice. Some of it is helpful, of course, but a lot of it can also be counterproductive and actually making your sleep worse because you don't understand the full context of how sleep actually works and how it's induced in your body. So today I want to talk about an issue that I see with pretty much all of my clients when they come to me, and it's probably not what you expect. So the first thing I do with all of my clients when they come to me is a really thorough assessment. So that includes looking at their current sleep schedule, their daytime habits, their diet, their exercise, everything. And I have a free assessment toolkit linked in the description below if you want to assess your own sleep, and you can use this to help you get to the root cause of your sleep problems. But in this assessment, I ask my clients to keep a sleep diary for at least a week. And it's essentially a log of, what time they go to bed, how long it takes to fall asleep, what time they wake up in the night, how many times they wake up, what time they eventually get up in the morning, and how they feel, what they do during the day, what they eat, so much more. And there's one common theme that I see across many of them. And it's that they tend to go to bed around the same time every night. They have a pretty good bedtime routine already. And then I look at the rest of the stats and I see the quality of their sleep, being quite low. I can see that they're taking a long time to fall asleep, that they wake up multiple times during the night, and they're struggling to get back to sleep. And I also see that their wake up time, the time they actually get up, is completely inconsistent. So they then wake up, they feel exhausted from having such a disrupted night. They either snooze their alarms a lot, or they go back to sleep or take naps during the day to make up for the loss of sleep. And then at night, the same thing happens again, right? So they might even try to go to bed even earlier, get an early night, hoping that they can somehow catch up on the sleep that they lost. But then the opposite actually happens and they're struggling to fall asleep again, and the cycle continues. And so this is something I see a lot. So the problem I am trying to solve is not really their evening routine, although there are some clients that struggle with that too. But a lot of the times it's actually what we call the sleep pressure system, and the fact that those people are not going to sleep when they are actually feeling sleepy, and they don't go to bed at a natural time that helps their body go to sleep. So what's happening here? How do we break this cycle? So the problem is that many of us have the wrong ideas about sleep. We think that if we just stick to a bedtime routine and we go to bed at 10 p.m. every night, our body will just naturally know that we need to fall asleep at this time. And if we don't, then there must be something wrong with us if we can't get to sleep. But what you're missing here is that sleep is not something that you can really force. It's something that happens to us. Think about those times when you've accidentally fallen asleep on the couch, or somewhere really random in the middle of the day. That's really a sign that sleep is not something that we induce proactively. It's something that happens to us. But the good news is that we can essentially train our body to fall asleep at a particular time in the evening, and to essentially support our natural body rhythms. And this is just by knowing the basic principles of how sleep actually works and happens. So to keep it really simple, there are two main mechanisms regulating our sleep, and I talk about this in a lot of my videos, but it's the sleep pressure system and your circadian rhythm. So sleep pressure, again, to keep it really simple, it's a chemical in your brain that tells your body to feel sleepy, and it increases, it builds up during the day while you are awake. If you think about it, the longer you are awake, the more sleepy you will feel, right? If you try to stay up all night, you're going to find it quite difficult. At some point, if you try to stay up for, multiple days, you will fall asleep. Your body will force yourself to go to sleep. And that is just built into our bodies. So that's the sleep pressure system. It just goes up and up and up while you're awake, and it goes down and depletes when you are asleep. So if you go to bed too early, it is likely that the sleep pressure in your body is just simply not high enough, and that's why you can't sleep. Now, there's another system, as I mentioned, the circadian rhythm, which also plays into this. So your circadian rhythm is your 24-hour body clock regulating your bodily functions across the board. So hormones, digestion, when you feel alert versus when you feel sleepy. And it also controls when melatonin is released in order to help you sleep. So these two mechanisms kind of need to be aligned. What happens a lot is if you go to bed early and you're struggling to fall asleep, then you might wake up early in the night and you sleep in or you take a nap. Now your body is confused. What time is it actually, right? You're not giving it the right information to understand what time of the day it is and whether you should feel awake or whether you should feel sleepy. So instead of obsessing over your bedtime routine and going to bed at 10 p.m. every night, think about whether you're actually building up enough sleep pressure during the day, and also how you regulate your circadian rhythm. And you do that by getting up at the same time every single day and essentially resetting that clock, even on weekends. So a lot of us like to sleep in, of course, and rest a little bit, but this can be counterproductive. So make sure that you have a schedule where you're essentially getting up around the same time every single day. Now, it doesn't need to be to the second, the minute, but keeping it pretty consistent across the board, because consistency is really everything when it comes to your body. And I want you to do this even when you have a bad night. So if you are only sleeping 3, 4, 5 hours, I know it's tough. And you will be tempted to sleep in, have naps, try and catch up. But think about it this way. Your body is actually quite resilient. We are able to get through the day, even if we are sleep deprived. Yes, there are some negative consequences, implications, but it is just that one day. What will likely happen is that you'll actually now have a lot more sleep pressure in your system, and you'll find it easier to get to sleep in the evening. So if you have a really bad night, don't be tempted to get up later and try and catch up on the sleep. And of course, give yourself some flexibility. If you're really ill, of course, you should be sleeping and resting during the day. But let's assume this is just a bad night that you had. Just make sure that you are consistent. And that's really how you get out of this cycle. So if you are currently struggling with sleep and you are going to bed at the same time every night and you just can't figure out why you can't get to sleep, you feel like you're doing everything right at night, just try this. Try and shift your bedtime a little bit later, and also make sure that you get up at the same time every morning and get some sunlight. This is really important because the other piece of the circadian rhythm is that it's influenced by daylight exposure. So if you get up, let's say your normal wake up time is 7 a.m. or 7:30, you get up and you go outside and get some natural sunlight. That way your body has received the signal that this is the morning, this is the start of the day, and now it knows in the evening, okay, this is the time we should feel sleepy. So you're building up the sleep pressure and you're signaling to your body at the same time what time of the day it is. Now, you might say, but doesn't that deprive me of sleep and make me feel worse? Isn't the goal to get more sleep, to sleep better? How is going to bed later helping me sleep more? And yes, you are right. But as I said, this is just temporary, right? You might get less sleep temporarily, but our bodies are designed to bounce back and recover from that. And the idea that you need to catch up on sleep is actually what is making your sleep worse, because you don't have a consistent schedule. Your body rhythm is completely out of whack and disrupted, and it's making you feel awake at the wrong time. So the lesson is that going to bed early, going to bed at the same time is not always the solution. Sometimes the solution is actually going to bed a little bit later than what you might think, and getting up at the same time every single day, every morning, so that you can get into a more natural rhythm. Now, if you want some more advice on how to implement this into your own life, if you have any questions, just let me know. You can book a free consultation with me below if you like, or you can also download my free assessment toolkit. So if you want to kind of get started on your own and just understand what the root cause of your sleep problem might be, feel free to download that in the description below. But thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video. Sleep well.